Hello, Mississippi River at Quincy.
He's pushing a barge. It's cool.
Lots of barges down there.
One on the move.
Catherine just decides to build this weird looking mansion on the bluff overlooking the Mississippi.
They give a 20 point.
The first house on the Underground Railroad. 4 blocks up from the river. First stop from Missouri.
Built in 1835. Preserved in 2019.
The Masonic Temple. I wonder where they hid the runaway slaves. Or the house. I live in the Lincoln Douglas Apartments. Guess this is all the presidents who've come to Adams County, where we're now at. So, Theodore Roosevelt, Jimmy Carter, Rutherford Hayes. Oh, we got to have Bill Clinton and Barack Obama.
Oh, yeah.
We got to mention them. And then William McKinley.
He looks like
Those are the ones who came. This is Governor John Wood, first settler in Quincy in 1822. He's born in 1798 and he died in 1880. He was the governor of Illinois in 1859. He was the one that opened the city arms to the struggling members of the church that were across the river coming from Missouri. They came here on this park, which was not a park but just a grassy field, I'm sure, back then. And this is where they camp. It's a weird building. Mormons in Missouri were forced to flee their homes and faced death because the extermination order issued in 1838 by Governor Lilburn Laws. Many of them crossed the Illinois and were welcomed by the people here. In 39, they were joined by their leader Joseph Smith, who had been imprisoned on charges of treason. He had long envisioned a great Mormon community, so what they do, they purchase some land up north, call it Nauvoo. because that's what the United States looked like then, with those orange colors being the states and the white still being the territories. Side of the Lincoln-Douglas debate, October 13, 1858. Lincoln, I have no purpose directly or indirectly to interfere with the institution of slavery in the states where it exists. I believe I have no lawful right to do so, and I have no inclination to do so. Douglas, Mr. Lincoln told his absolution friends that this government could not endure permanently, half slave and half free, as our fathers made it. They must become all free or all slave, otherwise this union could not exist. How then does Mr. Lincoln propose to save the Union, unless it is by compelling the states all to be? The Dred Scott decision. Lincoln. We oppose the Dred Scott decision because we think that it lies the foundation not merely of enlarging and spreading the evil of slavery, but that it lays the foundation of spreading that evil into the states themselves. Douglas. I choose to abide by the decisions of the Supreme Court as they are pronounced. It is not for us to inquire after the decision, whether I like it, whether it is on all points or not. Though while the owner of a slave has the right to go into a territory and carry his slave, yet he cannot hold him 1 day or 1 hour unless there is a slave code to protect him. Douglas. Let each state mind its own business and its neighbor and leave its neighbors alone. Then there will be no trouble on this question. If we will stand by that great principle, then Mr. Lincoln will find that this republic can exist forever, divided into free and slave states as our fathers made it. Lincoln. I insist that our fathers did not make this nation half slave and half free, or part slave and part free. I insist that they found the institution of slavery existing here and didn't make it so, but left it so because they did not know the way to alter it at that time. The morality of slavery. Lincoln. Reduced to its own lowest element, slavery is no other than that between the man that thinks slavery is wrong and those who do not think it is wrong. We think it is a moral, a social, and a political wrong. Douglas. I believe that the honor of the never saying that it is right or wrong. If it be wrong, it cannot say that. He would as soon see a wrong voted up as down. Douglas. I hold that under the Constitution of the United States, each state of the Union has the right to do as it pleases. On the subject of slavery, I hold that the people of slavery-holding states are civilized men, as well as we. They are accountable to God and their posterity and not to us. Spread of slavery into the territories. Lincoln. We also oppose slavery as an evil so far as it seeks to spread itself. We insist upon a policy that shall restrict it and its present limits. We do not suppose on doing this that we infringe upon the Constitution. Douglas. I would not vote for a code of laws either for or against slavery in any other territory by Congress. I will leave that to the people of each territory to decide that question. Lincoln at Quincy. We have in this nation this element of domestic slavery. We think it is wrong, not confining itself merely to the persons of that state where it exists, but that it is wrong. Its tendency, to say the least, that extends itself to the existence of the whole nation. Douglas. I hold that the people of the slave-holding states are civilized men as well as ourselves. They bear consciences as well as we, and that they are accountable to God and that their posterity not to us. It is for them to decide whether they are moral or not, or religious, and not the slavery question on or themselves within their own limits.
That book is.
This Greek revival-style mansion was built in 1835 by John Wood, Quincy's first settler, who erected a log cabin in 1822 at the front and Delaware Streets. The society was formed in 1896, acquired the mansion in 97. John Wood, he came from New York to get an investigated claim to be a land bounty in the military tract. This was for soldiers that served in the 1812 war. He became the 12th governor. He was prominent in state politics, a friend of Abraham Lincoln and of Orville Hickman Browning, and a national prominent Quincyonian who served in President Andrew Jackson's cabinet. Pretty nice mansion for back in those times. So this little old log cabin, which was probably built initially. And now we live in this place. We've done well for ourselves. Joseph Smith supposedly had dinner here at the mansion with Mr. Wood. John Wood's stone octagon mansion was created between 11th and 12th. He was the governor. It cost over $100,000, which was a very large sum at that time. It was considered one of the finest homes in Illinois. Abraham Lincoln and John Wood shared similar ideas on slavery, and were both strongly against it. Lincoln and Wood worked to establish the Republican Party, and each campaigned for the other's causes during their political careers. Lincoln was a delegate at the 1856 Bloomington Convention. At that time, Wood's nomination for lieutenant governor. In 57, Lincoln and Wood helped finance the publication of the Missouri Democrat, a Republican newspaper in St. Louis. John Wood was among the local Republican leaders who met with Horace Greeley, the editor of the New York Tribune, in 1858. And it was during this meeting Lincoln's name was put forth as a possible candidate. On May 22, 1860, he invited Lincoln, then presidential candidate, to take and use the governor's office at your pleasure. Lincoln used it as his president. There she is. It's quite the mansion. So this is the point where the Mormons crossed the pioneers. I can't call them what you call them Mormons, but the pioneers, early saints, crossed over from Missouri, which is on that side of the river, over to here for protection. This is where Ulysses S. Grant led some of his troops across the river from this point. citizens of Quincy will be held in everlasting remembrance for their unparalleled liberality, and marked kindness to our people, when in the greatest state of suffering and want. Joseph Smith. Eternal will be our gratitude for the people of Quincy who provide shelter to the homeless. President Hinckley.
But the trees are in the way.
This is looking from Mark Twain, Samuel Clements, whoever he is, Huckleberry Finn, Lookout Point.
Take a video of this.
Well, this is the third overlook. Here he is, Samuel Clemens, also a.k.a. known as Mark Twain. This is right back in 1913. This is old. It's a lighthouse, but we can't go up in this one. Yoo-hoo!
Her question is, why is there a main street? I mean, why is there a lighthouse in this hill?
It serves no. This is a lighthouse that serves no purpose.
Let's go down here and see.
Here we are down at the riverfront in Hannibal, Missouri. Everything tourist we do. See the lighthouse up on the hill. We look down here, and now we're down here. Oh, look at that paddle boat. Yep. Everything. Mark Twain, steamboat pilot.